Well, hello folks. So this video is sponsored by Carona. They reached out to me. They said, Dan, your marketing is amazing. We think you're the future of behavior modification in America. We would like to sponsor your videos. I said, I'll think about it. This video is for Top Dog Canine Training. I've been watching a lot of his, I shouldn't say I've been watching a lot of his videos, but I've watched enough of his videos to kind of stop and say, did he just say, did I just read in the comments that somewhere in his past he has a degree in behaviorism? And I'm watching some of his videos and I'm hearing him talking. I'm going, yep, I agree. And at least, you know, I always say, like, it seems like you kind of attract the type of mentors, you know, and or, you know, peers that are a lot like yourself. And I have a lot in common with you. So I want to ask you a favor. This is my book. It's called Dog Psychology, the Field Manual. So this book, the favor, just not to waste your time, is to read it for me. And I'll send it to you for free. I'm going to put only my email address into the description. So if you'll do me a favor and just, you know, reach out to me, an address that I can send this book to. I'm looking for somebody who has a legitimate degree in behaviorism to read my book because, as you can imagine, I'm 32 years old. I'm married, but I don't have any children. You know, I had my past with dogs, but, you know, nobody of note is taking me seriously. And, you know, so I'm not even asking you necessarily to take me seriously. What I need is somebody to go through this book with a critical mind. I know if I send you this book, you're going to open up and go, what does this guy have to say? But you're going to read it. So I have a lot of people that'll buy it and they're like, oh, it's just sitting on the shelf, haven't got to it yet. Or some people, you know, whatever. But I need somebody like yourself who's a critical thinker, who's focused, who can get through this book, because what I'm looking for, I feel like I have something here. I really do. You know, this is not to get too into bookmaking and publishing. I mean, you probably have a little bit of thing, but you know, I print these papers right here on a printer, and then I chop them, and then I literally scotch tape them to, there's like 200 some pages. It takes me a long time to make this book, but it's a behavior modification book and the principles of obedience. So, you know, if I could get your input, that would be amazing for me, because I can't find anybody in my life who has a degree in behaviorism who would be willing to go through this book. I want to find somebody who can really give me a good criticism. And it's just very hard to find people who read, everybody loves dogs, but not everybody loves reading about dogs. And, you know, this book it's textbook style, because something I don't know. All I've seen, you know, in the universe is there's been some specialty books, there's been some narrative books, but I haven't seen anybody publish a textbook like the one I had. This is 10 chapters. There's a chapter at the end, or there's a quiz at the end of each chapter. And the purpose of it, I've said it in some of my videos, but you know, I have a homeschooling background. I was just happened to have a client who had, you know, quite a few kids, and she asked me to do some work for her. And so I was doing worksheets and quizzes, and I had all these notes written out. And, you know, just through life experience, through, you know, in the military, like I said in the video, we always had field manuals for everything. So, you know, I'm looking around and going, where's an actual objective field manual? Now, again, I'm not a search and rescue specialist. I've done some decoy work. There's some videos on my shorts. I'm a pretty good decoy because I'm strong and I'm athletic and I understand dogs enough. Me personally, I do not enjoy working with specialty dogs whatsoever, because that focused reinforcement schedule for me is just, I don't know, it's just not something I love doing. I love behavior modification and basic obedience. I don't even really like basic obedience. What I really love is behavior modification. I love, you know, and it's simple, and behavior modification and basic obedience is what most people need, you know, in just neighborhoods, in suburban neighborhoods. So people like yourself that specialize, I think that's super cool. You know, you guys can do it all. But somebody with your education background would be super valuable to me, because the other problem I have, and by the way, you know, your constructive criticism, I feel like you could probably find, I'm looking for constructive criticism. You know, understand that there's some people that are impressed that I wrote a book, and some people think that I have no right to write a book, especially about behavior modification. So I talk about reinforcements, and I don't want to get too much into it because just, you know, imagine if I were to send this book to Robert Hines. You know, I would love to be able to send this book to everybody on the internet and they read it with an open mind. But, you know, I've got haters. You think Robert Hines could get through this book without having a meltdown and his face would be all red? He'd be doing whole series. He'd be taking me out of context. I'm going to know your constructive criticism, whether or not it's legit. If it's legit, I'm going to listen. And, you know, hey, if I give you this, hey, listen, I'm putting myself at risk in front of everybody. You could make me look like an absolute fool if you go, hell yeah, I don't, this is all crap. So I'm looking for somebody that's going to tell me this is crap. I'm looking for somebody who's going to come at me with a critical mindset. So that's what I need. I need that from somebody. And it's been the hardest thing for me to get. I'm not in this, you know, the Canine Behavioral Society. The future is on my paywall. I want to have 30 to 40 to 50 behavior modification videos. Cesar Millan, you know, he's famous. His show is going into these, you know, the homes and doing the free in-home consultation and kind of doing the introduction. But we don't see how the magician does their tricks. And for the average person, you know, most people cannot, at least where I'm from West Virginia. I don't come from any Ivy League schools, nothing like that. My experience is I have a little bit of trade experience, you know. I have a ton of dog, as far as watching socialization, like doggy daycares, shelters, rescues. I've done a ton of rescue dogs. I've done more rescue dogs and shelter dogs and stuff for free than I've ever done with clients. Definitely. And I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And me not putting pressure on myself, I think, like, you know, a lot of people criticize Beckman, you know, Cesar Millan, a lot of these guys. I think that, especially if you specialize in behavior modification like I do, I consider myself a behavior modification expert just because I've never ran into a situation that I couldn't handle. I've met people that are like, oh, you meet this dog, though. I would be willing to come to your place and you go, Dan, I think you're a fraud, and come to my place, I'll give you a dog, and let's see what you got. I'd be like, all right, cool. I would accept that from anybody who wants to live me and say, I think Dan's a fraud. Hey, let's make it happen. You can live me in front of everybody. I just want to make that clear. You know, hey, let's learn. The point of the canine behaviors, what I was saying about the future is behavior modification. I want it behind the paywall, but I want everybody to be able to see how to use basic behavior modification techniques. Now, me, you know, it's not that I'm a force-free only person. I use corrections. I talk about it in the book, and I talk about specific situations where, you know, corrections are useful for most people. So, you know, when you're reading the book, what I'm asking is if most people, let's say you're working at a shelter, right? The purpose of this book is, you know, because I've done so much volunteer rescue, shelter, all type of stuff, and you meet these people that are curious, they love reading about dogs, but, you know, so many people that write books, it's so biased, it's so like their worldview, they're putting like little backhanded comments about their worldview. So I got dry mouth. I'm gonna take it again, sponsored by Carona, I swear. But so many books are like, people put in like their backhanded worldview stuff. I try to make this book, it's like a little over 200 pages and it's got a final exam and a glossary at the end, but I try to make this book as objective as possible. So in chapter 1, I start by defining what a handler is. And, you know, talking about, I just hope you go through it. I hope you respond to my video. I hope you send me an email and send me an address that I can send this to, please. I would just love, you know, if even, you know, for content, you know, if you want to do a live review, I don't care. You know, I'm looking for criticisms. I'm looking for somebody to tell me that my ideas suck, because if anything, that would be worth it, right? If we're all genuinely here to learn, because you always I was about to say the F word because I'm loose, so I'm about to start cursing everybody. But, you know, you always start these seminars and these people and these mentors, they always start by we're all here to learn. And what I've noticed is they're not, because I just published a book and I'm seeing so many people reject it. I'm watching people in the industry. I'm cold calling dog trainers all across the country, you know, and they want to argue with me. And I'm like, why? If someone messaged me and said, hey, I'm a dog trainer, would you read my book? I'll send you the PDF, just if you're going to criticize. And to tell me no is like, it blows my mind. This closed-minded, you think you know everything. Not you, but just people like so closed off to new information. You know, at least I'll say this about Robert. I don't watch any more of his videos because it's just, I've learned everything that he thinks. You know, just like Dale, I get bored of people. Like, I learned what you got. Okay, now you're repeating yourself. Now you won't shut up. Now you're just being right. And I like what you said. What's his? Top Dog K9. He's like, I'm all about defining categories and terms. Yeah, me too. We had that in common. As soon as I heard that, I went, bam. That guy right there would be the best to criticize my book because he's all about categories and terms. And I think I got this right for behavior modification. The goal is, you know, if you're a rescue, if you are somebody that works at a shelter, that you could pick this book up and say to yourself, I could figure out most situations. I could figure out, you know, if I have a food aggressive dog, you can read my book if you're a reader. Now, most people, what I'm finding, a lot of people, again, they buy my book and they don't ever read it because they do not have the focus and the discipline to sit down and read. But, you know, the problem that I was trying to solve is a lot of people couldn't afford my services, but I love working with dogs and I love doing behavior modification. I was doing so much work for free. I was literally homeless. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. Maybe one day I'll tell my story. Right now, it's not about me. But, you know, somebody from a shelter that is a self-motivated person like we are, could pick this book up, read it, and say, I could figure out how to be with a dog in a behavior. I can figure out to be a good behavior modification with this book. So, you know, I'm asking you, Top Dog Canine Training, that you read this, please, with the mindset of if an average self-motivated person were to pick up this book and read it, would it be worth $130? That's the real question. Is my book, if I send this to you for free, I'll pay for the shipping. I send this book to you. Could your average everyday person pick this book up, written by a hillbilly in the hills of West Virginia in the Appalachia? Could they pick this book up and is it worth $130? Please tell everybody on the internet, is this book worth $130? Thank you.